Hey everyone, Carolina Weather Authority meteorologist Joshua Nagelberg. It is Friday afternoon here in Raleigh. It's cooled off a bit and we've had quite a bit of rain. Oh my goodness. Last night we had almost 3 inches of rain in my neighborhood alone and a lot of trees were down. I posted to the Carolina Weather Authority Facebook page and I actually wasn't home when it happened. Somebody said, oh, this is a weather weenie's dream. Like, well, not if they're not home, it isn't. It's more of a concern. So anyway, I hope you guys got through the storms okay. I know we've got more on the forecast for today and tomorrow. And welcome to summer. Nothing new for us here. Let's get right on to the tropics, though. That's been the big story for us here. We've talked about the heat. Now it's time to talk tropics. And if you've been watching our videos, mine and Mike's, over the last couple of weeks, nothing here should even surprise you. I also want to make it clear to you that we're not going to be defensive when people accuse us of overhyping stuff. We're just going to give you what we see and let you decide what you feel about it. How does that sound? I think that's pretty fair. So anyway, hotter than a Bojangles biscuit out there as far as the tropics go right now. It is cooking, and let me show you what we're talking about. So here's the article that Mike posted last night. And again, the word possible is there for a reason. It means we're not necessarily forecasting this because, let's be honest, in 10 days, things are going to be different than they are now. That's just how the weather works. But we are seeing a pattern that is now becoming more favorable for multiple tropical systems. And for the most part, these storms have not really been a problem for us in the Carolinas, but I do think that's going to change. And again, it's possible. We're not saying evacuate in 10 days. We're saying keep an eye on this. So let me tell you what we're talking about. And by the way, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have grown our reach, and we want to continue to do that. If you have friends or people at the beaches or in the tropics that may be interested, they're welcome to come join us. They'll get videos a few times a week, and maybe even more than once a day once we actually have hurricane threats. So the Atlantic Ocean is busy. We've got 2 tropical storms, Gonzalo, which is actually starting to weaken, and Hanna, which is actually strengthening. And both of those will be affecting land this weekend, with Gonzalo heading towards the Windward Islands here, and Hanna heading towards Texas tomorrow. Now behind it, this system that came off of Africa yesterday afternoon has shown us some signs that it could be a bigger storm. And the Weather Service, or the Hurricane Center, now has it in a medium chance of developing, a 40% chance of developing, but not this weekend. It's probably going to be early next week by the time it makes it out here to the northeast of where Gonzalo is. We're feeling right now that Hanna is going to cause some damage and flooding to Texas. There's a slight chance it could even become a hurricane, but not too likely with the fact that it's going to be running into land here within less than 24 hours. So something that'll be strengthening up upon landfall. Gonzalo does not look like it's going to be a hurricane anymore. It's actually weakening down to 45 miles per hour, and it may actually die when it gets to the eastern and central Caribbean early next week. So that could still leave us open to our first hurricane here in about a week from this system, and the next one on the list is Isaias. So that July 30th prediction that I kind of tossed out there maybe a month ago is still looking like it may happen. All right, so from tropicaltidbits.com, you can go visit them. Of course, we have our own models page, but if you want the latest satellite imagery, here's what we've got. This is Hanna, which is a pretty big tropical storm, but not super organized, and not a whole lot on the northwest side of it around Houston. So it's going to be running out of real estate pretty soon. We have an upper level low northeast of the Bahamas that's creating wind shear over the Caribbean and the southwest Atlantic. We've got a cold front firing storms here across the Carolinas and into the northeast. Gonzalo is actually struggling right now. The system just hasn't been able to grow. It's got wind shear in its way. And now our next tropical wave, not very organized, but look how big it's gotten. The reason for that is that this area, which had a lot of African Saharan air, which typically suppresses development, now Gonzalo has actually kind of been a door opener for what's going to be more storms. It's kind of the sacrificial lamb of the Cape Verde season, if you want to call it that. Very common, you get one system which kind of dies and then sets the stage for many more, and I think that's what we're looking at. This is Hanna right now. Here's the center, and it's going to be heading westward towards Port Aransas and Corpus Christi tomorrow. It's a pretty good-sized storm. Lots of rain in Louisiana and just offshore, and we could see upwards of a foot somewhere in here, but not a problem for us in the Carolinas, and that will be moving inland and weakening over the weekend. This is actually in the Pacific, Hurricane Douglas, aimed at Hawaii, now down to, I think, high-end category 2. And then this is Gonzalo, and here are the Windward Islands right here. This is Barbados, and it does not look very organized. Wind shear starting to get the best of it, and this thing may be on its way into the grave early next week. However, we'll keep an eye on it because down the road, when it whatever's left of it tries to make it back to the Northwest Caribbean, maybe even the Gulf, could be something to watch. We've seen that happen before. If you guys remember Harvey, which flooded Houston in 2017, that system was a weak system that died and then came back to life in the Western Gulf. So something to watch. The European model has been the one that has been most consistent this tropical season, and I think we actually favor it more than the GFS, which is definitely had its share of the COVID, if you know what I mean. I would not bet my stimulus check on the GFS in 10 days. It's just not done well. We saw that with the cutoff low pressure systems, but here's what the operational European is showing. We've got our two systems here. This one hitting Texas, Hanna. This one, Gonzalo, starting the weekend. And here's our next one. This is for Saturday evening. Here's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday evening. And this is probably Isaias at this point. This is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Models are differing between south of the Big Islands, over them, or north. Actually, I'll show you in a bit. The cluster's mainly north, but lots is going to change still. But this looks to be a threat to the U.S. down the road, I think, in early August. So something we got to watch. The Canadian model, kind of doing the same thing here. It's got kind of a weaker low pressure system. And I'm sorry, my internet's not catching up to us here. But the main thing I want to point out to you guys is that this big high pressure area that's keeping everything into the Caribbean is eventually going to give way to a trough, which is going to drop southeast at the very end of this month, which will, by the way, cool us down finally after about 7 or 8 days. You can see this high coming down. And that trough can often be a magnet for tropical systems because they get steered around the periphery of high pressure areas. A trough is a break between two highs, and that will typically be a magnet. So where this trough ends up, if it's here or up here, will make a big difference, of course. Again, the GFS model, not too impressed right now with the next wave at this point, but it does try to develop it out here by the second part of next week. We'll keep an eye on it, but again, I have this hunch that the European's onto something, and we'll see. Things will change. The Icon model here is killing off, it's not really killing off Gonzalo, it's trying to hold on to it, but here's Isaias next Monday night and Tuesday. And you'll notice it's holding together pretty well. There's actually something behind it we'll have to watch as well. And then the GEM model, again, not my favorite model when it comes to the tropics, but something worth watching. So I do want to show you guys real fast the what we call the European Ensemble Prediction System, EPS. And this was from the run from earlier today. And here's Hanna and a pretty well clustered tropical storm hitting South Texas. Gonzalo, a lot of the models are killing off, but maybe trying to redevelop over in here into a tropical storm. This pressure is consistent with tropical storm or even a weak hurricane. But this is the development area we're looking at for the middle of next week for what I think will be Isaias. And yes, there's a lot of spread, but a good number of solutions do develop this into a hurricane. You see these 960 millibars, that's a category 2 or 3 hurricane, and very well clustered around the Bahamas. So if you are in these islands, the Bahamas, Florida, or even up into the Carolinas, you definitely need to at least watch it. I'm not saying we're going to have to evacuate. I'm not saying a hurricane's going to hit. But when I see this kind of consistency run after run where many of the cyclone locations are in the same area, I obviously get concerned. So we're not hyping up a Cat 5 hitting Wilmington at this point. We're just saying keep a watch on it. And here's why. I mean, look at these water temperatures. This is Celsius. So 30 degrees Celsius is 86 Fahrenheit. And typically the 27 degree line is where we start to see favorable for tropical systems. Low 30s is very favorable, very warm bathwater. So the Southwest Gulf, the Caribbean, and off the Southeast Coast, very favorable spots temperature-wise for tropical systems. We're looking at wind shear, relative humidity, sea surface temperatures from Penn State EWAL, and anything in the blue indicates an area where things could be favorable for tropical development Sunday night and Monday. So here's where we're watching. And over in here, notice this area is not favorable, so Gonzalo is probably not going to do too well. This is a wind shear map, and basically the greens are favorable wind shear, the reds are not. Gonzalo right here is going to be heading into the eastern Caribbean where the wind shear becomes unfavorable. It's a small storm, I think it'll die. The next system though, look at this area, favorable shear. So it's not really favorable over here to the east of 40 west, but when it gets to 40 and 50 west, it is favorable, and it looks like it stays favorable right up into here. So that's, yeah, definitely something that is of concern to us. And let me see if I missed anything else. I don't think I did. The La Nina index, right now, it's pretty much neutral. It was kind of a bit La Nina early. La Nina are the negatives and El Nino is the positives. So we're pretty much in the neutral zone right now, which means kind of a wild card that anything could happen. But with those ocean water temperatures, I think we're definitely in a favorable spot to see more tropical systems. So again, look, we're not sounding the alarm. We're just keeping you posted on what's going on. But definitely watch this system. Give it about a week when it's over here, and then we'll start talking more about it. All right, everyone, stay safe out there. Have a great weekend, and we'll keep you posted.